Well, damn. Well, thank you very much. You guys ready? You ready for war?
Boom. Welcome to Rule Zero with only me right now. You might ask, Jack, why did you wait? Here's why. I have no idea who's going to show up today. Either everybody's busy at work or they can drop in temporarily. So I might be waiting and it will take 30 minutes or whatever, which is perfectly fine, but at a certain point, I'm like, nah, but we're going to hold to the schedule. Rolo mentioned he's going to pop in. Stripper is not sure. I invited Fort Worth Playboy, who, if you don't know, is an amazing, amazing guy when it comes to dating content, gym content, game content. Very, very successful on Twitter. Might join us. Ryan is coming. Is he? Okay, that will be very nice. Clary, no idea. Nuke stuck at work. So that's why right now you have me alone. But through the stream, people will show up. Last man standing. Here he is. The Dutch man. So today's topic. Most masculinity is rejected unless women approve it. There have been a couple of essays this past week by either Rolo or Stripper that came out about what is a man, what is masculinity. And there was also a tweet that made the rounds, which I don't know exactly what put it off, but I can show you the tweet right now. And then later on, I want to get into the reactions to it because the quote tweets on this were horrendous, where I'm like, wow, what caused this? So the meme explains 75% of right-wing politics. I am writing this manifesto to pass judgment on all who are complicit in perpetuating the evils of modern society, but especially my second grade teacher, Mrs. Gretel. So I was like, okay, what does this have to do with anything, with masculinity or whatever? Oh boy, if you look at the retweets. If you look at the quote tweets, it's like, oh, this thing we're going to talk about today, like the only allowed masculinity is feminine approved masculinity. Lord in heaven, do a lot of guys have a chip on their shoulder when it comes to female teachers, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But we will get into that later. I wanted to address an essay by Stripper, which is called Can I Be a Man Now, Mommy? Now, thank you, Stripper, for citing me on this. Frequently says that the only acceptable Jack Napier, me, frequently says that the only acceptable masculinity is female-approved masculinity. And he's not wrong. The entire conversation regarding men and masculinity is messed up. Forget people like Scott Galloway, whom think crying about men's issues will somehow invoke sympathy and change man's struggles for the better. Hey, sounds like Paul Elam, who got absolutely nothing done, by the way. But then he goes on to say everything is downstream from these content creators, and why, despite the countless posts, research papers, podcasts, etc., everyone else is spinning their tires, doing absolutely jack shit at best, and creating a legion of indentured servants. Sorry, hold up. At worst. More on that in a bit. So he goes into framing, but then female validation. And this is kind of the important part. And speaking of important, we got Wesley Boyd for the generous $10. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. And since I'm alone, I can do this. That's a tenner. You know what that means. Hey, now it's a party. Wesley Boyd with the 10. I just heard about Sydney Sweeney bathwater soup. What the F is wrong with people? Is that true? Can somebody link that? Oh my, oh dear, oh Lord in heaven. Oh Lord in heaven. Before I continue, speaking of links, let me link you to Stripper's article, which is right here. There you go. I was hoping Stripper would show up because like that man will rant like a mother, you know? But it's okay. It's okay. There you go. Soap. Oh no, the soap is old news, man. We knew about the soap. Soap is old news. Or did you say that? Yes, Sydney Sweeney bathwater soap. You just heard about it? That is like we did a post zero on that even months ago. I think that was last year. Brilliant marketing. Brilliant marketing. You know, and who wouldn't want to share a bath with Sydney Sweeney? Let's be honest, gentlemen. You would if you could. But okay. Stripper continues, Vimo validation. Rollo calls it the gynocentric social order, and others call it the longhouse. Longhouse came from Bronze Age. Yeah, Bronze Age. Bronze Age mindset or Bronze Age pervert. What's his name again? Bronze Age. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bronze Age pervert, I believe. But the dynamic is the same. All actions, including speech, must pass through a simple litmus test. Does it negatively affect women? Now, what Stripper means by this, when you look at Chris Williamson or you look at Rob Henderson, even Chris Chris Williamson, he even mentioned like, hey, did you know that more men commit suicide than women? But that doesn't mean it's a good thing that women commit suicide. Like immediately, as soon as you bring up that men have an issue, a lot of people will fight you on it. Where it's like, oh, but women, it's like we can discuss absolutely nothing. Nothing that has to do with men without acknowledging women. Now, the thing is, and Stripper will go into that, is that that's kind of everybody else's fault themselves, because how many men, dare to say like, hey, Stephanie, we weren't mentioning women. Okay, this is about men. And done. But then you get the backlash, and that's why boundaries are enforced. It's like, I don't care. When I say no, I feel guilty, I have the right to say I don't care. Yeah. Men going to the gym is okay. Fit men are hot. Fit men can work more. Therefore, this masculinity is approved. Making money is desirable. Men typically spend their earnings on their family, read women and their offspring. Therefore, making money is approved. Men dating multiple girls at once is not okay. Men are immature, scared of commitment, leading women on, wasting women's best years, Peter Pan syndrome, all the regurgitated nonsense that you have heard before. Men are the immature ones. Meanwhile, it's women racking up the debt and everything, Yeah, but women earn more housing. Have you ever heard of widows? Have you ever heard of widows? Is Fort Worth Playbook's book any good? I think so. Fort Worth is a good guy. I hope he shows up. Where were we? Yeah. Men removing their attention as a boundary enforcement tool is stonewalling and toxic. Yeah. And a man telling his woman no about certain financial spending is financial abuse. Things like that. Anything that may damage the economic prosperity of women, their reputation, sexual options, their ability to behave however they want, etc., is bad. You see the point? I think you do. Be okay with being a bad guy. Ideally, the sexes come together en masse and play to each other's strengths, forming loving, long-lasting relationships. Men and women are better together than they are apart. Ideally, Ideally, for men to get what they want, women needn't sacrifice anything and vice versa. However, it is the case that even in every relationship, no matter what, no matter how much you like each other, you will have to give up something, both parties. But we don't live in a fantasy land. I think I'm beating him to the punch. Many times there will be divergent interests and someone will lose out. The reason why the mainstream conversion regarding men and masculinity is ultimately useless is because despite the best efforts of the Hendersons and Williamsons of the world, until they realize that there will be times that in order to help men, women will be negatively affected. Men will never be able to see a clear path to get what they want. This is why the space I write in is considered evil and misogynistic. Hey, that's why it's quarantined on Reddit. We dare to treat women as people with agency. Yeah, what does Ryan always say? Imagine that. Treating women like human beings. Imagine that. I know? Imagine that. Um, yeah. People as human with agency and ultimately as people who are responsible for their own actions and the consequences thereof. All relationships are transactional. All. I remember stating that once on I can't even remember who it was. I think, you know what? I'll just give it to Stripper. Stripper was the first one who mentioned it, and then I piggybacked off of that, saying like, "Hey, it's not the fact that relationships are transactional that get people's panties in a bunch. It's the currency. Every relationship that you engage in, be it man, man on woman, whatever, it is based upon value. Now, what about you that is valuable very much depends on the interaction. So let's say comfort and arousal. What is the transactional part about the arousal guys? The quote unquote alpha guys. Well, that's it. The arousal, the fun, the excitement, the roller coaster of emotions, that the up and down of the complete interaction, you know, that for women is a currency. That for them is valuable enough for them to want to engage with these guys. They don't care about the comfort. They don't care about the long-term safety of that guy. They care about what, kids? The arousal and the good genes. If you really want to go farther, where it's like, oh my God, look at this jawline. Don't mind his zit. Now, with the other guys, epiphany phase kind of thing, what becomes the currency of the relationship then, of the transaction? That's the comfort. That's the security, the provisioning. That's where the intimacy doesn't become. That's where the intimacy remains transactional instead of, and what was that word again? It's no longer because she wants to, but because she kind of needs to, because she needs to keep the guy on the hook for long enough to get the baby. And then it's all of a sudden, oh, I'm a mother now. I don't do this anymore, and they use the children as human shields, which sounds very harsh, but you wouldn't believe the dead bedroom Reddit that is full of that. That is just full of women birthing a child, putting it into the marital bed, sort of say, and just use it as a human shield from the guy. So she no longer has to sleep with the guy, where it's like, wow, really? We're doing this now? Yep. That's what the kid is for. And Nolan's right. Hit the goddamn like button. So Stripper continues. Women are not entitled. Oh yeah, all that includes relations, and that includes relationship with women. Women are not entitled to your care, respect, attention, affection, commitments, etc. What each person gives in a relationship is earned, not guaranteed. So, for an example, relationship between men, why do you hang out with your friends? Let's be honest here. Why do you? I can tell you why I hang out with my friends, because they offer value to me in either knowledge, support, intellect, and competency. That's the big one. It's competency. Why do I hang out with the people I hang out with? Because they're competent in something. I can derive value from them. Oh, you're using them. Well, they're using me as well. They hang out with me for my competence in whatever area that is, being being a good conversationalist, uh knowing where to go, you name it. Like there's an expertise in something. And that's okay. It's perfectly okay. And what's the currency at that point? Time. Like, same with women who want to share time with the arousal guy. Time is their currency. That's why some of you guys can't get a text back, and others, their phone just blows up. There was a guy on Twitter, I believe, even, who he left his girl on red, and he got message after message after message after missed call after missed call after missed call. And meanwhile, you're sitting here like, oh, maybe she's sick. It's like, nah, man. Nah, she isn't. No, she is not. Not at all. So, what each person gives in a relationship is earned, not guaranteed. In a society where anything that negatively affects women or doesn't result in the direct benefit of women is considered bad, and men are raised to seek validation from women before they act. You get a beat down man typing, "Why won't my wife sleep with me?" into Google. A man who walks on eggshells in his own home, and a man who has his wife holding open auditions for the pool boy. Why is on national television? Very nice Piers Morgan reference. Very nice Piers Morgan reference there, stripper. Yeah, she's sick of you. Exactly. Validation seeking behavior in general, but especially from women, is not a masculine trait, and everything is downstream from that. You can wear plaid, take Brazilian jiu jitsu classes, drive a big truck, shoot guns, vote conservative, and none of that matters. Masculinity is not a skin suit, it is a set of behaviors. If you have to ask mommy if it's okay to be a man, aka, again, Chris Williamson, if it's okay to talk about male, offing themselves, or males falling behind in college or in the white collar sector, if you have to keep mentioning what women do in that particular area, you're already defaulting. You're already defaulting to women. Like, oh yeah, I want to discuss this, but oh yeah, women have it bad too. Male homelessness. Male homelessness is terrible. It's incredibly high. Most homeless people are men. Oh, but did you know that 1 in every 3 homeless people is a woman? Yeah, that's still 2/3 male. We might want to address that issue and not make it a whole gendered issue kind of thing, because you're kind of pulling on the short end of that stick, young lady. But how dare we mention that? Better not mention that. So that's kind of stripper's point. Like, yeah, as soon as you bring all that up, no, you do not have to ask mommy for permission. Despite all the feminine approved auxiliary masculine activities you partake in, you are not masculine. You are a useful idiot for the benefit of women. Exactly. Remember Scott Galloway when he was sitting with Oprah? Why do you think Oprah was there in the first place? Oprah was there in the first place because she needed to keep an eye on everything. She needed to keep an eye that Scott did not cross the boundary, that Scott did not go, wouldn't say anything unflattering about women. Like the little, like the girl who asked him, like, "Oh, I'm trying to find a man." Now, when the dude asked, like, "Hey, I'm trying to find a girl," he's like, "Work on yourself and do this and do that." When the girl asked that, who could clearly lose a pound or 20, you know, he was like, "Oh, you just need to put yourself in the right position, and when the time is right, the right guy will come." It's like, maybe you should tell her to lose a little bit of weight. Maybe you should tell her that, if you dress pretty, if you smile nicely, you might find the guy. I see you, Nuke. Developer accident. I mean, it happens, man, but don't worry. I got the ship. And I'll keep that damn thing steering, man. We ain't going down under, and I will provide value even if it'll be the death of me. I will not let this ship fail. Hey, Moonpill, get to see you. We got Donald J. DeMarco's here. Delta's here. Hello, guys. Hello. I saw MLD was in here. Good to see him. Thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate that. As long as the mainstream conversation regarding men and masculinity fears crossing the line into male self-interest, and that's what he means. Like Chris Williamson, all these guys, Rob Henderson even, Scott Galloway, even Jocko Willink, as long as they keep pandering to women before they can address male issues, how are we ever going to solve the male issues? We're not, because we keep viewing them through the lens of, how does this affect females? How does this affect women? Who cares? We're not talking about that. That's a care for a later day, Can we now focus on the topic? Hey, Johnny, good to see you. But we can't, because, this is that gynocentric social order thing. Hey, Hero Swords, good to see you. Good to see you, Mike. Which, okay, we can bitch and moan about it. It's like, the world isn't fair. Fine. What does this mean for you? Well, first of all, know when you're in your conversation with somebody who wants to move the goalpost. That's the big important one, where it's like, hey, I remember Jess Phillips. I can find that clip. I will play it because that is such a good example of this nonsense. Am I still sharing that one? I am sharing that one. Jess Phillips laughing. This is peak example of that nonsense. It's a horrible clip, by the way. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So to finish Skipper's Substack off, as long as the mainstream conversation regarding men and masculinity fears crossing the line into male self-interest, which at times may come at the expense of female self-interest, nothing will change, and everyone is just, screwing the pooch, as he would say. Let me share this. Help your friends out when you can. And I've put the link in this essay in the chat, so please go check that out. Good day, everyone. Good to see you, Ho Devil. Like I said, thanks again for getting on the Substack, man. I appreciate that. This show is jacked up. Goddamn right it is. Look at that. I'm finally growing arms. Took me long enough, Took me long enough, but let's see. Jess Phillips, horrible. If you want like the epitome of wench, it's Jess Phillips. Here. I can't remember this guy. I can't remember his name. I think I'm sharing the screen. I am sharing the screen. Very good. There we go. Am I sharing the screen in the way I want to? No, I'm not. There we go. Let's get into this.
Do we have International Women's Day? We also have women and equality questions every month in the chamber, which we don't have for men. So the opportunity for men to raise issues that are important to them is very limited. And just to give you a flavour, Mr. Chairman, of the type of thing.
There. Okay, watch closely and listen closely. Top right corner. So he's just very honest. Like, hey, we've got Women's Issues Day. We got Women's Day. We got women's issues. We discuss them. But we're kind of forgetting about the men's issues here. And then top right corner.
And just to give you a flavour, Mr. Chairman, of the type of things that may...
This is a representative of the people in the British House of Commons. I think the British politics, the British the weird political system. And she just openly laughs at it. Like, how dare you bring up men's issues? How dare you, sir? Why would you bring that up when we still have feminine issues? It's like, I don't know, man. If that were my representatives, I'd be... Nuke, you stuck at work? I hope not. I hope not.
May come up, and which will be part of International Men's Day. I'm not entirely sure why.
Because actually, International Men's Day is still a thing.
It's so humorous, but to discuss issues such as
You have to excuse me for laughing, that the idea that men don't have the opportunity to ask questions in this place is a frankly laughable thing, as I say, as the only woman on this committee.
Well, men have the time and space to ask questions, but do they have the time and space to ask questions regarding genuine male issues that do not have to do, well, everything has to do with economics, but like suicide, homelessness, custody, loneliness. Although the loneliness epidemic, I am a little bit tinfoil hat about this, where it's like, But that's what the guy meant.
It seems like every day to me is.
well, I wasn't making with respect,
Men's
I wasn't
Day.
making that point. I wasn't
No,
making the
but
point that men
what-
don't have an opportunity to.
And the goalpost has been shifted, and the topic of origin is no longer the topic. What could this guy have done? Very easily to like discard all of this, to be like, well, apparently, Madam of the House, thinks this is hilarious. I, however, want to continue this. Done. And then maybe she'll do her thing. You just look at her, and you continue your narrative. Do not engage. Do not dear. Ryan was just mentioning it. Do not explain yourself. Do not defend, excuse, explain, and rationalize, because that's what he's doing right now. Right now, he's falling into her frame, speaking her language, explaining himself to her so she will see his point of view. She will not see your point of view for a multitude of reasons. First of all, she is a woman. So whatever's going to happen, what's ever going to come out of your mouth is like, well, I don't experience the world like that. Solipsism. Men experience the world experiences women. Ryan put it best, where it's like men can put somebody else in their shoes, men can put themselves in somebody else's shoes. Women put everybody else in their shoes. So it's you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere. Speaking of getting anywhere, chat Twister Stroke for the generous $9.99. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. That's a tenner. There you go, chat Twister Stroke for the very generous $9.99. Thank you very much, thank you very much, Chad. Hi, Jack. My ex was like this. Oh, dear Lord in heaven. I'm glad she's your ex right now, and I'm glad you got out of it. She said, as a man of God, you need to lead, but not like that. Every time a woman says men need to lead, then learn how to follow. I've had a girl tell me that, where it's like, you're a man, you need to lead. Yeah, no offense, but your ass ain't following. I'm leading. I'm leading that way. You just don't want to go that way. Whose problem is that? I'll miss you. I like you, and I would love for you to join me, but I am leading. You're not following. But she's never going to listen to it anyway, where it's like, well, best way to sum that up is, well, I am leading that way. When it never benefited her or had to make her accountable, she didn't want it. But then I found you guys. I'm glad you got out of it. And it's kind of like that 1,000-foot tow rope that they talk about in Married Red Pill, where at a certain point, when you have you've built up your frame, you have your male action plan, you got rid of the scoreboard. And for people who have no idea what I'm talking about, please, Ryan Stone's Frame and Dread, amazing books, goes into mental models, all these things. Now, the scoreboard is where you have this imaginary scoreboard in your head about you and your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, where it's like, oh, I did this or she did that, so I'm going to do this. I'll show her. An extreme example of this, guys not wanting to fuck their wife. I'm not even kidding. Where, oh, she rejected me for sex yesterday, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reject her today. That'll show her. Where it's like, buddy, that's not how that works. In relationship, it's actually very Pavlovian. You want to reward good behavior and you want to punish bad behavior. So if your wife's going to come on to you and you reject her, what does that tell your wife? What does that tell your wife? Don't come on to me. And then you're going to come on to her and she rejects you and you're back where you started. Oh, but I was holding a grudge. Don't hold grudges. Grudges will only make things worse for you. Yeah, but she treated me bad. How is she treating you now? Think like a woman in that, man. How is it right now? Think in the moment. Guys step on their own dick because they can't get their ego out of the way. They can't. But thank you very much, Tad Twister Stroke, for the generous $9.99. And this stuff, what you just mentioned, I wouldn't say it's fixed, but for you it will be, where it's like, tell her no. Where it's like, no, we're not doing this. And this is something, I'm kind of spoiling Dread here, but this is something a lot of people don't understand about the red pill, where, guys, all of this is not so that your girl will behave. It is so that you become attractive enough that you will actually get a girl who will behave in lines of the way you want to be treated. It's not for that specific girl, but it's for you to realize, a person who treats you well versus a person who doesn't treat you well, and for you to figure out how you want to be treated. That's what this is about. No authority plus all responsibility is slavery. Exactly. I see men being more solipsistic. Well, that's the thing, right? Applying female strategies to male sensibilities. Isn't that selfish? No offense, but isn't taking the kids in custody selfish? I don't know, man. Every time I hear a guy be like, oh, but I wouldn't do that to her, it's like, homie, women have done far worse to men that cared more about her. You don't need to feel bad at all for certain things. I don't want to tell her no. I want to help her. I feel bad if I don't help her move. It's like, she knowingly let a guy pay for her dinner, knowing she would sleep with another dude. It's like, don't beat yourself up on being a little bit selfish every now and then. But let's continue this lovely interaction between these two. Philip Davies, that's his name.
Ask us about men's issues. There's a very big difference between men raising issues and the raising of men's issues.
But one could raise men's issues in any single one of the question sessions. So your men's health, absolutely. So prostate cancer, that could be raised in men's questions, couldn't it?
Well,
that could be raised in their health questions.
Now they're not even discussing the issues anymore. Now they're discussing, when can you bring the issues up? Completely missing the point.
Mr. Chairman, I very much look forward to these arguments being deployed when we come to consider a debate on International Women's Day, because exactly the same arguments could be raised for International Women's Day.
What about women? What about women? What about women? How about you stop focusing on that? How about you stop focusing on that? Thanks, good old Bukaki. Appreciate it. I appreciate that. I'm doing my best here.
That women's health issues, that equality issues could be raised in women and equality questions in other forms. So all I ask is for an equal crack of the whip, that
and there you have that word again. I want to be treated like women are treated. Paul Elam, how's that going for you?
If those issues can be raised without having a debate on International Men's Day, then obviously the same issues can apply for when it comes to International Women's Day. But those arguments have never won the day before this committee.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it's worth pointing out the idea that this chamber, that these houses, both of them, in any way reflect gender equality.
Is anything actually being discussed here? No, because this guy thinks he can talk to her like he can talk to a man.
Is to me a frankly laughable thing. And so in the fight for equality, I'm not sure the men on this list necessarily have that much to fight for. It's not that I don't care about men's issues, it's that I'm hoping for parity myself.
Yeah.
I absolutely care about men's issues. And when I've got parity, and when women in these buildings have parity, you can have your debate.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, if I can just make the point.
And that will take an awfully long time.
And mocking him, and no issue was discussed at all. This is what stripper meant. This is what I mean with like the only allowed masculinity is feminine approved masculinity. Who dictated the terms of that conversation? Very simple. Was Jess Phillips. Hey, Mish, good to see you. Habibi. Good to see you, Mish. How have you been? How have you been? This one's for Mish. He's going to hate me. But this one's for Mish. Always good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. Habibi. But who was dictating the terms of that conversation? Even though he wanted to address genuine male issues. And she immediately made it about women, and she immediately made it about her. There's not enough women in this room. Oh, who cares? That's not what we were talking about. But that is on the dude. Look, I can sit here and blame women all day long. You know, it's nice and easy, and a lot of you guys will get riled up and put fire in the chat and put the thumbs up. Bitches ain't shit, bro. However, women will treat you as shitty as you let them. This was on him in the sense that he fell in her frame, you know, to keep up with the terms. He fell in her frame. She immediately made it about equality issues instead of men's issues. And that's where you go wrong. That's where you talk into a completely different set of words. And that's why when I say No, I Feel Guilty is such an important book to read, because it discusses that. But to get further into this, and this is kind of the tweet that set off a firestorm. Sorry, puberty. I just came off of a cold, and the throat is still a little bit. I had to reject Cappy. That's why he's not here. I had a sore throat, Cappy. I'm sorry. I know $20 is $20, but you know, $20 ain't worth my throat. Yes, Dondrell. Highly recommended. That's why it's on the sidebar, man. That's why it's on the sidebar, Harmy. Cappy's busy. Oh, well. What are you going to do about it? Let me get the thingamajig. Where are my bookmarks? There are my bookmarks. And Ryan even had a couple of tweets about this. So, here we go. Because I found this so strange. Again, do you see the meme? We see the meme. Okay. What is up with this camera? I find that very frustrating. Stay. There you go. Stay in focus. So, okay, again, I am writing this manifesto to pass judgment on all who are complicit in perpetuating the evils of modern society, but especially my second grade teacher, Mrs. Gretel. And the comments aren't like that explanatory. Like, can you explain in complete sentences why it's funny to you that useless entitled women who don't know how to do anything or obtain respect in adult society freely ruin the lives of young men? Do they? How many dudes really had their lives ruined by a dopey teacher when they were small? The replies. Oh, Lord in hell. Oh, we're not going to go there. But I can do this. View post activity. Quotes. This is how men are dealing with female teachers in the current education system. So this guy, Anti-D Luvian, wait, he's one of D? The will of D. My little brother was singled out and bullied by his female teachers because he would bounce up and down when he got excited. We used to call him Tigger. He was a single-digit age, and they would scream at him and insult him for hopping in place in anticipation of recess or something. Little boys, man, they have energy. My best friend, one of my best friends, I have 3, he has a son right now, and even he's saying it like, man, I don't know how he does it, but that kid has more energy than I could have ever imagined. Where it's like, wow. Yep. But then you put these kids in school for 8 hours long, and what do you think is going to happen? You know, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to get bored and they want to do their thing, but they're not allowed to do it because of the teachers. Well, what do teachers then do? They put them on goddamn Adderall and what's the other one? Ritalin? It was hardly even moving. Imagine bouncing your leg up and down when you feel antsy. He did it with both. They took away his recess. They wouldn't let him go outside. They took him off the soccer team, his greatest joy in the world. They made him feel like a piece of shit. He couldn't help himself, and it stressed him out so much, he just started having tantrums in the morning and refused to ever go to school again. I wonder why kids don't like school at all. I wonder where that comes from. That's better. Sorry about that. I had to fix it. I got annoyed. The teachers held meetings where they determined amongst themselves that they had done nothing wrong, that my little brother, whose crime was that he felt so much excitement that he couldn't contain himself, needed to be medicated. This is always like, if I would ever have children, this would be like my main concern, where it's like, is my kid not paying attention, or are you just not worth paying attention to? You know? Which is a question, first of all, a lot of teachers don't dare answering, and a lot of parents don't dare to ask, where it's like, oh, she's the teacher, she knows. I used to date a girl who became a teacher. She's like, well, it's a role of the teacher to parent the children. I'm like, the fuck it is. Your job is to teach my kids math, language, and whatever, writing, reading, math. That's it. Spelling, not virtues or whatever. That's up to me. She disagreed with that. Where it's like, well, the children spend so many times with us. Teach them a goddamn Communist Manifesto. Hell no. They brought in some expert who agreed and convinced my mom to start giving my brother anti-anxiety medication at like 10 years old. Why do men not want to become teachers? Maybe because they have such a horrible association with them that they want to stay away from the trade as far as possible. The life faded out of his eyes. He was never been the same. The tantrums never stopped. He never even graduated school. And that's just one. Had a teacher in 7th grade misdefine a word. I raised my hand and said that I don't think that was correct and meant what it actually meant. He said I was wrong and moved on. I later looked it up because if I was wrong, I want to fix my mistake. I wasn't. He went and misdefined it again not too long later. I corrected him again and was told that I needed to learn to accept being wrong. I get being corrected by your student, let alone a kid, hurts the ego, but you're a teacher. If you get something wrong, you need to correct it. Did you know that I earned $10 like that once? Our school principal walked in the classroom, and he's like, what's the English word for versterking, which is Dutch for reinforcements? He's like, yeah, I completely forgot. Do you have a dictionary? And I'm like, it's reinforcement. He's like, how do you know that? I'm like, sir, I'm just good at English. It's reinforcement. He's like, if you got that right, I owe you 10 euros. I'm like, go ahead. And guess what? You know what happened? The guy paid me. Took him a while, by the way. I'm like, hey, you owe me $10. He was like, well, I was just joking. I'm like, no. You, in front of the class, in front of everybody, told me and everybody that if I was right, I would get 10 euros. I hounded this man for weeks. I got it. Believe me. Don't come between me and things you promise me. I do hate when people do that. When they promise you something and they never follow up on it. Like, that makes me not want to talk to you. It's like, yeah, never mind. That's never mind. And it's not even about money or whatever. It's like the principle, literally, the principle of the principal telling you, something. Here, in high school, I tore my ACL playing soccer and was on crutches for 6 months and got attacked by a loser while sitting at our gym class. School had a stupid rule about how, in physical fights, both parties had to be punished equally. When I pointed out that obviously the kid on crutches did not start the fight, the vice principal scoffed and asked why I was daring to question authority. If you read my latest essay, Depression, or Why Depression is a Choice, if you've read that, you know why I'm anti-authoritarian to the max, you know? I'll put the link in the chat for you guys who are interested. But yeah, I wrote down my whole high school story in that one where I was like, yeah, this is where my disdain for authority comes from. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Wesley Brad and Chat Twister Soak for the 2 generous $10 donations. If you feel inclined to support the channel, you can do so on the Substack for less than 1 super chat per month. Yearly subscriptions now have 25% off, but monthly subscriptions are still available if that has your fancy. Put the link in the chat. I did. Are men even allowed to have an opinion on what's toxic? No, they're not. Don't push your luck. I like you, but careful. School bureaucracy radicalized many conservatives because it's so obviously stupid, actively harmful, and punishing to the victim. Yes. What's that old saying again? Sympathy for the criminal is to the victim. Sympathy for the criminal is blah, blah, blah to the victim. Somebody in the chat help me out on that one. Some of you will know that. Some of you will know what I mean on that one. But wait, there is more. You know, it's true. Even halfway intelligent right wingers I know in real life had a massive conflict with at least one elementary teacher. That's not it. That's not it. Here, I got suspended for drawing soldiers and knights in 3rd grade. PTA meeting held in a separate room for a day, whole 9 yards. I didn't draw again until my last year of middle school out of fear of arbitrary unknown rules I could break unnecessarily and be told I was evil. Cruelty to the victim. Thank you. Thank you. Sympathy for the criminal is cruelty to the victim. Thank you. Mercy to the guilty. Okay. Thank you. Hey, I'm not American, okay? I'm talking here. I'm not American. Hey, Karin, good to see you. Hello, Karin. Yep. Yes, all of you. Thank you. I mean, that's what you get for hosting Rule Zero. You ask one question, you get 50 answers. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I have how many Jamies? I have 5 Jamies now. 5. Joe Rogan ain't got shit on me. I got 5 Jamies. God damn it. Here, we were asked in primary to write a book report about a book of our choosing, any book, fiction or nonfiction. Most kids chose a simple book, but I chose Aristotle's Politics, which my dad gave me because he wanted me to be engaged with the classics. My final report was 25 pages because I really loved the book. How did the teacher repay me? She said it was impossible for a 10-year-old to have read Aristotle and more impossible to write such a report. I got a 0. Oh, piss off. You didn't even have ChatGPT back then. I wanted to become a teacher, and this is why I dropped out. This nonsense. First of all, I was flabbergasted by the incompetency of most of my fellow students. And then I had to deal with the incompetency of the professors, where it's like, what? I mean, I had female professors high-five the single mom in class because the single mom, showed her man to the curve because he was an alcoholic, only later to find out he was an alcoholic even before she got pregnant. Yeah, but you showed him. What are we doing, people? What are we doing? And then I had a girl all of a sudden who was not the most attractive, to say the least. All of a sudden, oh, by the way, I'm a man. And the whole class was like, oh, you're so brave. I'm like, is this what we're calling brave now? I'm like, no, you people are wrong. I'm not going to go into depth for this. I'll start a YouTube channel, That's not how that went, by the way, but to just give you an example. And this just here, this photo. Complete mystery to me why boys hate their teachers. I can't remember where this photo is from. Where is this photo from? Rolo would know. I believe this was something where boys had to pay reparation or so for the horrors that were bestowed upon women. Something horrible like that. But it's like, why do boys not thrive in education? I don't know. Maybe because it wasn't made for them. because men are not defective women, yet are treated as such and then frowned upon when they can't get by? I don't know. This is why homeschooling is amazing. But be warned. Like I said, my friend Traddy is finding this out. He's finding this out where it's like, oh boy, boys do have a lot of energy. And I'm like, well, you want to feed him minced meat, eggs, and raw milk. And he's like, yep. I'm like, that kid, man, cheese, vegetable. I mean, all the works. I'm like, that kid is gonna grow 7 feet tall. I'm telling you, sir. 7 feet tall. You know? I was thinking adolescence regarding demonizing men. Yeah, that too. And I mean, let's be honest here, adolescence, that was more than just anti-boy. I don't know if I'm allowed to go into this on Rule Zero since like the brand is attached to other brands, but they did a little bit of swapping in adolescence where it's like, where's the gang? That's the thing, man. The gang is busy as hell. Cappy's out, Nuke's at work, Rolo's doing Rolo, Ryan's doing Ryan. Everybody's doing his thing, and I'm steering the ship. I am steering the ship, sir. But I will steer this ship in clear headings. I will steer this ship in clear headings. Why is this thing? I don't know why, but every now and then this thing just would not focus. Very annoying. So we have that one. Then these people also nope. Here. When I was in high school in Florida, I got a taste of the regime's hatred of me. I was a straight A student in all the AP and honors classes with the highest possible weighted GPA. This was in a school with a legit, okay, we're not going to go into that. 2 other students in the running valedictorian, a black girl and an Indian guy. You already know how this is going to go, don't you? They removed roadblocks for the 2 of them so they could stack classes out of order to take more weighted GPA classes than they let me take. I was not permitted to do this, but whatever, the Indian guy was bad in his foreign language classes. He was going to get a C in Spanish, which would have given me salutatorian at the least. But the teacher gave him a ton of extra credit, especially for him and no one else, so that she changed his grade to an A. I was confused about this until I saw the local news. School in the South with riots graduates a black woman valedictorian and Indian salutatorian. I got it. It was fine to screw me over for the headline. I had the 3rd highest GPA in that school's history up until the point I was 3rd in class. I learned quickly that it doesn't matter how good you do if you're the wrong gender and can't give the school authorities a good soundbite in the news. There was never any university where I would be allowed to stand up at the podium. Why do you think men are falling behind? Goddamn right. Good to see you, Cassium. Daniel, hello, guys. Hello. We got to see you here. Guys, now that you're here, why not hit the like button? Subscribe if you haven't. Tell YouTube that this is the content you want to see. There's so much. Oh my God. Here, another one. I realized teachers were mediocre idiots when we did presentations on the periodic table. I got aluminium. When I gave my presentation, I mentioned that the British pronunciation and spelling for aluminium was aluminium. That's how I know it. How do they spell it? Oh, aluminum, aluminium. Yeah, I know it as aluminium. My teacher made a big show of telling me that I must have gotten it wrong naturally. The class found this amusing, and I felt very awkward for a moment, but feeling put on the spot, I asked to look it up on the classroom computer. She used the Encyclopedia Britannica software or whatever it was we had, and there it was, right there. I'm lucky she didn't tell my parents to put me on prescription meth as punishment to her credit. Sorry I'm laughing about this, but like Ryan mentioned this best, man. He can't write dystopian fiction fast enough. She actually did apologize, but after that, every time I saw a teacher fumble for the answer key or push back on a student in an embarrassing way, I would think of that moment and back up the student who would turn out to be right more often than not. I guess in a way you could say that this built character in that I learned early in life that people love to be confident wrong and that most people should be taken at face value. This is why I keep telling you guys, if I am wrong, tell me. Tell me I am wrong, you know? And because then I can learn something as well. Still, I can only assume that people who vehemently defend public schools must not have ever had experiences like these, mostly women, themselves having been along for the ride with little opportunity for independent thought or revelations that they were smarter than their teachers. Oh. When I went to like pre-college, which is hard to explain, it's a Dutch thing. I will not get into all of it. I will, however, do this real quick. There we go. I had a math teacher, and we had a certain amount of curriculum for that year. And I'm like, well, it's not really important. I can finish this within a day. So what I did, I finished the entire yearly curriculum within a day, because you can do that online. You can do the tests online, everything. And I passed them. Now, I passed them all with a C, but it's like, hey, that's the minimum requirement. You will get the minimum requirement. I raced through them. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest here, you're just going to get your diploma. No job in history has ever asked me about my grade list. They just wanted to know that I passed. So I wasn't going to bother with a like A grade. I'm like, no, you want me to pass? I will pass. So the next day we have math class, and I show this teacher, the results I have. And he's like, wait, you finished it all? I'm like, yeah, it's right there. He's like, well, I still want you to show up. I'm like, why? He's like, well, it's a presentation obligation. I'm like, but I finished everything that was required for your class to pass. Oh, but I still want you to show up. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to happen. Well, then I'm going to write you down and we're going to file a complaint and this and that. Like all these weird threats, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I went to my student guidance teacher and I show him like, hey, I finished everything with math or from math. He's like, you actually finished the whole curriculum? I'm like, yep, I did. Goddamn right I did. He's like, what the hell? I'm like, yeah, by the way, this professor, he wants to write me up if I don't show up. But no offense, I upheld my end of the bargain. So why would I? I've done like he wants me to just sit there and be there. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I have better things to do than just sit there. And this was in the time where I was getting my fitness trainer certification, my personal trainer certification, dietary certification, everything. And he's like, I'll get it fixed. I'm like, sir, I appreciate that. The next day, that teacher wouldn't even look at me. That math teacher, he just passed me. Like, wouldn't even look at me. You know what the worst part was? I had so many female co-students. Fellow students who were like, oh, you're playing hooky and you're just never showing up and you'll never pass. I'm like, I am not skipping classes. I finished everything. Yeah, but you're still supposed to come. I'm like, no, I'm not. I arranged everything. And no offense, but maybe if you put your nose to the grindstone instead of watching Netflix, you would be able to pass that class as well. And they hated that. And look, scaring the hose. I was scaring the hose. Not gonna lie, I was. But I also had a shit ton of free time that made me do what I do today. Speaking of doing what you want to do, I am Delta for the Canadian 10. Thank you very much, sir. Around the tenors today, guys. I am Delta. Thank you very much for the Canadian 10. I appreciate it. Every teacher experience can be summarized as respect my authority. Yeah, because they don't have authority at home. I noticed that too. There was like so much going on of, oh, because I say so. And I'm like, you're a teacher. Like, if it's your kid, I'm like, that argument holds up. If it's your kid. If you're a teacher, you need to come with a little bit of a better argument, especially when you're dealing with students who are 18 and up. Then, because I said so, doesn't work. Maybe with women, because them the rules, and women love the rules and they love propriety. But with dudes who can think for themselves, absolutely not. I need to check something real quick. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, wait, we got a $5. Hey, Lee Silva for the generous $5. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. And since we are alone here, we can do the clips. Whoop.
Do not, I repeat, do not listen to women.
There we go. We got Lee Silva for the generous $5. Thank you very much, sir. My orchestra teacher was like this. Oh, God, mercy. Lord in heaven. There were multiple attempts by my entire class to oust her, but they didn't work. She retired with full pension. You want to know what I had in middle school? I had a female teacher who was drunk. I'm not even kidding. She was drunk in front of that classroom in middle school. How old were we? 8? Maybe 9? And this woman was drunk, teaching us drunk. And so many kids felt so uncomfortable, man. And we had a different woman who would always scream at us when we weren't silent. She would scream on the top of her lungs, which is insane, you know? It's like, these are kids. And kids were frightened of her. She would yell at us like, how you kids play on the playground is like a goddamn war zone, and can't you be normal, and why don't you act like good little kids? And now, mind you, this was with a volume. Like, this woman was angry, absolutely angry. And I'm like, what is happening here? She is 9 and she's yelling louder than my mom. It's like, holy shit. And she stayed on for a long time, weirdly enough. And I remember at a certain point, parents came complaining. At a certain point, parents came complaining where it's like, this is abnormal. And in all honesty, the worst teachers I ever had. 1, 2. No, I don't know. It evens out. It evens out. I know. Unfortunately, there goes my Coldrex. You just channeled Aaron Clary with that voice. And all you goddamn kids and ba ba ba. Yeah, I know the feel. Oh well, he'll tell us. There we go. You know what? What else we got? Yeah, no, but you're 100% right. And guys, if you have horror stories in class, let me know. Tell them in the chat, man. I'll pull them up. Because this nonsense just keeps going and going and going and going and going. It just keeps goddamn going. What is going on here? Young Tom Likas. There we go. Now let me get back to That's the thing about doing these things alone. You have to have your hands everywhere. My girlfriend would enjoy that, having my hands everywhere. Ooh. It's nice when you like really like each other and you keep groping each other in public. That's amazing. Let's see. Let us continue. View quote tweets. Oh, this just goes on and on. It goes on and on and on. Thousands of responses to just her that. Yeah, she made me show my work because she's evil. There you go. Let's see. Ba, ba, ba. Yeah. Resenting a teacher. That's the one where we left off. Oh, yeah. My third Slumdog Chillionaire. That's a good account, by the way. He's an awesome dude. My third grade teacher told my parents to put me on Ritalin because I was bored out of my mind in her class. My mom told her to get her hormones checked. Your children's school teachers will discriminate against them for not being a girl. And there you have it. Because girls are very good at obeying the law. Boys want to explore, test boundaries, break rules, discover, explore, you name it. But they're not girls. And since they're not girls, well, why aren't you behaving politely? Blah, 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 blah. Because they're boys. You know, I don't even think like young boys are, well, I wouldn't say they're not capable, but I don't think it's healthy to put them in books for too long at a too young age. That energy, that needs to go somewhere. That really needs to go somewhere. You really want to do something, woodwork or whatever. I remember that. Man, when I was younger and in high school, we used to make fun of the people in shop class. And now I'm like, shouldn't have done that. Should absolutely not have done that. I used to make cabinets with my father. Unfortunately, I don't have those anymore. I do have a table that my father made me. He made that for me, like out of nowhere, by the way. And for you people new here who don't know me, I'm the Lego guy. But I bought TLDR. I bought the biggest castle Lego ever released. My father saw that, and out of nowhere, I hadn't started building it yet. And it stood there for a week, and all of a sudden my father showed up. He had a table. It's like, hey, I built you a table. I'm like, what did you do that for? He's like, well, I saw your desk was full, and I saw you, needed some space to build that thing on. So here's a table. Oh, where did you get that? He's like, I built it myself. I'm like, God damn it. That man. The same happened to me. Thankfully, my mom hadn't lost her mind to hormonal issues. Yep. Metalworking and electronic classes. I had metalwork. And unfortunately, I kind of drank the Kool-Aid of needing to be in the theory levels of education to mean something. Yeah, I swallowed that Kool-Aid. Not the best of my things. Kindergarten teacher had it out for me because of daydreaming. Yeah, that's a thing too. Daydreaming? Oh no, from time to time. He gave me a nickname and made the whole class call me that, even though I demonstrated I knew the answer. It's always that humiliation that comes with it. Why do teachers always feel that incessant need to humiliate the kids? It's like, what is that about? Like, really? You need that to feel better about yourself? I chose the wrong college major, but work as an engineer because of high school shop classes. Nice. Absolute G. Eric, that's awesome. Auto mechanics, internal combustion, and electronic. My brother did auto mechanics, and he is very well off. Years later, got tested and found out I have a top 2% globe IQ. That had to hurt. Moonpill, I won't tell you exactly how I know that, but I have a hunch that hurt when you found that out. Where it's like, you mean to tell me I'm smart? Uh-huh. It's like, but they told me I'm dumb. You're not. It's like, what? Yeah, that's as we say in Dutch, that's coming home from a cold carnival. That is absolutely brutal. It is horrible. Absolutely atrocious. That nonsense. We got more. Empaths, no. Eating lunch in elementary school, I was sitting near some kids that were rolling grapes back and forth to each other. A wayward grape rolls my way and then asks me to give it back to them. I roll it back. Lunch monitor sees me do this and says, "You, detention now." I've never been even remotely in trouble before, and I had to serve my first and only detention in my school career for this hideous transgression. I learned more that day about how justice actually works than I would realize at the time. Oh boy, 1994. Here we go. In 1994, my female grad school teacher at Bay Area private school would hold me in during recess and lunch to make me do correct and returns, even though my work was the best in class. 20 years later in Oxford, my DP Hill thesis, which contained 3 peer-reviewed publications, was flunked by my 2 female examiners. The viva was voided by the Senator Proctor on grounds of procedural irregularity. And I then took the degree after a second and fair one. And yet my entire life, I've been told by every academic institution I've known that I have all the advantages as a straight white man. I long ago learned to find the supernatural degree of hypocrisy liberating, and doing so is part of what has contributed to the inspiration responsible for my producing an authorship that has become quite something. Who is Stephen DeLay? 4,000. That's nice. So thank you, Mrs. Lum. You had no idea what you were preparing me for the realization that, at least in this day, Oxford would be no less than a farce than your 3rd grade classroom. Dude, I remember that. Did I tell you guys ever about the Spanish doctor? Did I tell you guys that story? I am sick and tired. It's not dirt. There you go. The Spanish doctor was a chick I cracked. We met on Bumble and, first night lay. But I remember in between sessions, mind you, this was a medical student. A medical student. I've never been to university, people. I wish my ass was that smart. This girl had everything going for her. Had a beautiful internship, position lined up. She was going to become a physician, doctor, whatever. And she dares to tell me, yeah, but you're a straight white male. You have privilege. And I'm like, do you want to talk to my parents? Do you want to talk to my teachers? Because I would have loved for them to know about my straight white male privilege, madam. I would have loved for them to know that. Because I don't think they got the memo on that one, And I'm like, at the moment, I'm like, shut up, don't do anything, bang her again and leave, which is what I did, I wanted to recommend this to all the gang, but Jack on watch, Chaotic Good Barbarian by Dungeon Soup. Okay, I mean, why not? I can look it up. Chaotic. Blah, blah, blah. Did you see Space King? You're not canon. Chaotic Good Barbarian. I could look that up. Chaotic Good Barbarian. There we go. What does it look like? Oh, wait, I do know this. It's not my particular. It doesn't have my particular fondness. Who do I know this from? I don't like the weird, creepy art. Reminds me like Adventure Time, but a little bit Ren and Stimpy as well. Do I have people in the chat who like Ren and Stimpy? Ren and Stimpy always made me feel uncomfortable as a kid. I don't know what it is, but it always made me feel uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't want to watch this either. Like Rubber Nipple Man or whatever it was. Horse Rubber Nipple. I don't know. Toast Man. That was it. I looked around, and when the other kids were already back at school, I kicked the game and he fell down. Oh, wait, what? Karn, I'm missing the first part. He was okay and ran crying to the teacher. I waltzed over, and when she asked me to explain, I said he fell running. She told me that I never had Karn as a student, but I know he would never do that. I later found out that she saw me, but just didn't like the kid. I learned a big lesson of perception and bias that day. Especially for those who have power. Yup. It can work in your favor. It can work in your favor. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Yeah, man. I don't know. Cow and chicken was okay. Cow and chicken I could live with, but even that made me uncomfortable every now and then with like what's his name? No, he actually was called Devil, I believe. But no, Rocco I liked. Rocco's Modern Life, I thought that was pretty cool. With Heifer? Yeah, that was nice. Wait, Powder Toast Man was voiced by Frank Zappa? No way. Really? Yeah, Rocco's Modern Life. Rocco's Modern Life. I remember that. I remember school, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here, another one. In 6th grade, I got 100% or more in every single assignment and test for the semester in Spanish, and the teacher gave me a B- because I would frequently correct her. Teachers are such scum of the earth where they can put their ego aside just because a kid is good at something. In 8th grade, I got 1st in the state of California and 5th in the country on the national Spanish exam. In high school, they would not advance me beyond my grade level, so I had to sit board through sophomore year to complete my language requirement, and then shifted to Latin for the final 2 years, which I also aced. I had the same thing with English, man. I never understood why I had to do high school on certain levels, where it's like, look, I am clearly capable enough to follow this class on a higher level. And they just wouldn't let me. They just wouldn't let me. And it's like shit like that that made me distrust every institution so goddamn much. Where I'm like, why would I even bother with this, you know? Why would I bother? But I mean, what are you going to do about it? You know, I mean, I started a YouTube channel and became an author. What are they going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. What's going on here? There we go. Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Ed, Ed, and Eddie was okay. Real Monsters was pure nightmare fuel. I don't know. Real Monsters I thought was okay. Yeah, the designs were a little bit... It reminded me of Tim Burton. But I didn't think that the story was so horrible, you know? But okay, let's continue. And I think let's keep going for about 15 more minutes, and then we're going to wrap this one up. Really loved that class, male teacher. We got to translate Old, We Shall Fight in the Shade quote by Cicero, which we know from 300 and thought was very cool. School is more memories of being prevented from learning things I was actually interested in than anything unfortunate. Teachers would constantly give bullies the pass, but throw the zero tolerance policy against kids they didn't like. Yep. Teachers are power-hungry sociopaths. I just don't... I was talking to Rob about this, and for people who don't know, I do a show on Friday night with Rob Says called Red Evening. You can check it out on my channel. But we were talking about power and how power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's how I feel about teachers. Like, as a teacher, you have a certain level of power. And with that level of power, you do have a responsibility towards other children. I know. You know, quote Uncle Ben here. But when you get people in positions of power who lack self-reflection, you get this abuse, and they will abuse everybody. Vox Day wrote about this in the sociosexual hierarchy, which is, of course, between men and women, but gamma males, like the gamma personality, can also apply to women. A lot of middle management, a lot of teachers get this, especially not especially women in this case, because have you ever noticed like a female cop or a female train conductor? I'm European, so but a female cop, they every time, 9 times out of 10, I know one female cop and one female conductor who are God sent. You know, they were the most happy people you'd ever meet. But they always have this aura over them that they have to prove themselves to you. I need to prove I'm an authority. I need to prove I'm the person in power. It's like, no, you don't. You're already wearing the uniform. It's fine. You know, I already know in what position you're in. But no, they have to ram it down your throat to feel better about themselves. Respectfully disagree. Teachers never left school. They have no character. Fair point. That is a fair point. They're very coddled in their little institutions, and they grow through the institutions, and that's how they got what they are. 48 laws of power applies very well there. Hmm. In the last 2 months of my senior year in high school, I was informed by the vice principal, a tiny woman with a bad attitude, every time. Fat, frumpy, underfucked women will screw you over. That would not be graduating because I skipped a class too many and would need to repeat a semester. It didn't matter that I had a B in the course. She was adamant that she would not let me graduate, and nothing I said could convince her otherwise. I told her I would drop out and go to a neighboring school to get my diploma, thus denying her school the graduate stat, which is exactly what I did. My man. And that's how you deal with these people. Weirdly enough, a lot of these teachers care so much about the numbers at the end of the road, which is why I was denied higher education, and a friend of mine as well. They wanted to put him back a year, and he just left school. He just went to another school where it's like, no, I'm not dealing with this bullshit, and he was fine. He was just fine. He graduated, everything. Right now, he's not doing so well. Well, last time I heard, but high school nonsense. It's like, and with me, I kind of turned out okay because like it formed my disdain for authority, which then made me want to do this. You know what? I'll go on YouTube. I've got things to say, and now we're here. So it can work in your favor, but you're gonna have to want to do it. It is a desire not to play the hand you're dealt with, and it's hard to explain. Where it's like, if this is the hand I'll dealt with, I will tear apart the deck and build a new one, kind of thing. Where it's like, nah, I'm not dealing with this. Nope, I'm not playing this game. I'm gonna build my own deck. It's hard to explain. It's a certain je ne sais quoi. You gotta be insane. Yeah, I will always succeed because I am insane. Exactly. And that's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. You have to be. You gotta simp for e-girls if you wanna make a success. You gotta do it. You gotta simp for girls in real life if you wanna be successful. You gotta play the jester every now and then. People are gonna be like, "What did he say?" What I mean by that is shooters shoot. And in my humble opinion, we need more flirting in the manosphere, whatever it takes, you know? You gotta be content with the fact that you're gonna make a fool out of yourself because that's the beauty of it. Where it's like, yeah, you gotta look like an idiot, but you know what? Idiots get the job done. Yeah, I get that feeling about realizing you can shuffle the deck for another hand at a prize. Yeah. Enjoy the enjoy, as our panda in the field likes to say. I hope he's doing well. I hope Dante's doing well, but he's in the Philippines doing his thing, yeah. There's a lot of guys in this space who you might not know who don't make content, but they're out there and they watch us, they follow us. Every now and then they create something. They write a blog or whatever. They write a tweet. They write a Substack note. And they just, you know, live life. And they live an amazing life that you will never hear about. But they are doing it well. I'm not going to flirt with you guys. Wait, you're saying I'm not an e-girl? I'm not an e-girl flirt worthy? Eric, I am disappointed, sir. I am disappointed. I knew I should have worn the low-cut shirt. I'm actually wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt. You can't see, but it's actually very cool. He has a motorcycle. You know? I love it. I absolutely adore that shirt. Ba 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 ba. Okay. So Oh, Inquisitor Tibby. My man. Real quick. Because I saw... fuck it. He can wait. Inquisitor Tibby for the absolutely generous 20. Sir, you did not have to do that, but of course I absolutely appreciate it. Here we go.
You're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win so much. I love you all.
Inquisitor Tibby for the absolutely generous $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Tibby, man. Inquisitor Tibby. So, what men should ultimately be doing is to be physically imposing. I wouldn't go with should. I mean, you kind of know how I operate. I'm like, could. Which is your friendly reminder to go the fucking gym, Also to society. The wall of indifference continues to be built brick by brick. Well, I wouldn't say should be physically imposing. Will I say it helps? The problem is, though, what we're doing here now is separating soft power from hard power. You could be built as a brick. You can be able to bench press your manager. He still has power over you. And that's the problem. Your manager still has power over you in the sense that he can get you fired no matter how much you bench, no matter how much you squat, no matter how much you deadlift. Does being physically imposing help with a female manager? Well, yes and no. Is she going to find you attractive? Probably. But you could also creep her out. Again, charm, wit, social savviness comes into play. A great guy on this is Mish, Chad of Arabia. I know Chad of Arabia. And Chad of Arabia is built like a brick. That man is a tank. He is built. But all the women in his office love him. They absolutely adore him. They are fans of him. And the men respect him. But that's also because he's been doing it for 20 years. You know, he's been in his trade for 20 long years. And it is, yes, a reminder to go to the goddamn gym. Have you been to the gym today, Anon? I went yesterday and I'm going to go tomorrow. You know, we got belt squats in the program. Also, to society, the wall of indifference continues to be built brick by brick. Well, this is where when I say no, I feel guilty comes into place. When I say no, I feel guilty, teaches you have the right to say, I don't care. You absolutely have the right to tell whomever is bothering you that you don't care. I do not care about this nonsense. Or just say, I don't care. And move on and do whatever you want. Again, there is some nuance to this. And fogging will help you more than outright saying, I don't care. But that's why that book is a great strategical tool in your toolbox. Speaking of tools in the toolbox, Todd the Chickens for the generous too. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. Where is it?
Stop gooning.
There we go. Todd the Chickens for the generous too. Thank you very much, sir. Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a book, but give it a go. Okay, I mean, why not? Psycho-Cybernetics. Let's go. Psycho-Cybernetics. There we go. Now we're almost at the 2 hour mark, aren't we? Now we're almost at the 1.5 hour mark, which I think we are going to wrap this Rule Zero up with. This was a solo Rule Zero. so be it. Rolo was busy with his Twitter account. I just noticed. I was just informed about that. He's trying to get it back. And of course, the customer service, or whatever you want to call it, technical service at Twitter is not the best. It's not the greatest. And they're not helping him, kind of thing. So he's doing his best to get that back. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was actionable for you. I hope you can imply this in your daily life. Remember what I said. Men are not falling behind. Men are ahead of the curve. We are. Because what is happening in the white-collar jobs, politics, education is all femme-centric these days. It all appeals to the feminine. And the only allowed masculinity there is feminine-approved masculinity. So there's nothing wrong with you falling out of that and going your own way and figuring out how to get your life in order without those previous well-proven institutions. They no longer function and they no longer benefit you, which is perfectly fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to thank all the I want to thank all the generous donations gifted today. Chad Whistler Stroke, Wesley Boyd, I Am Delta, Lee Silver, Inquisitor Tibby, and Taught the Chickens. Thank you guys so much. I very much appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, you can do so via my Substack with over 100 essays, new essays every week, 3 audiobooks, 4th one on the way, a private community, and monthly Q&As. Well, we have the next Q&A on Tuesday, the 28th on 9 a.m. Central. You can support me there for less than 1 super chat per month, with yearly subscriptions having 25% off. However, monthly subscriptions are still available if that is more to your liking. Speaking of liking, Karin for the generous 5. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that, Karin. Oh, here. What happens when you make all institutions appeal to women? Men are dropping out. Oh, no.
Oh no, it can't be. Is that the consequences of my own actions?
Yes, it is. Karn for the generous 5. Thank you very much, Karn. I appreciate that. What I find interesting is that while things are female-focused, it seems you are rewarded more for proceeding strategically in a masculine way. Okay. This is a good one, actually. Define rewarding in this sense. Because, okay, what is more rewarding to a man than the fruits of his labor and the freedom to enjoy it? Now, be honest with yourself. Can a man enjoy the fruits of his labor freely when navigating an institution? What have men always done? They have looked at the playing field and they either learn how to play better or just leave it altogether. What did the English do when they found out that King George was becoming a tyrant? They got on their boats, they headed west, and they founded a goddamn new country. Brett Kuhn, love you too, man. And I love you, random citizen. That's from Mastermind, Brad Pitt. No, but we are more rewarded the more we go against the grain, because it is an innate masculine thing, I think. Like, who am I to tell you what is masculine? I mean, guys, who am I to tell you what is masculine? I'm a goddamn Dutchman with a goofy haircut and a love for shiny cardboard, and big-breasted blondes. I can't help it. I see big-breasted blonde in somebody's bio. I can't help it. I got to do it. You got to shoot. You got to. But what is more masculine than going against the grain, creating your own environment, and living freely in it? yes, everything is female focused because women operate better in a everyone is awesome structure. Men need a hierarchy. Men need competence. Whom do I go for what? And how can I provide my value so I will be appreciated for it? And then we create our own. And then we let women in, women infiltrate it, women burn it down. And thus the cycle of life continues. But now we're dealing with modern technology where, certain things that will escalate the situation do not make that happen so easily. I was looking up the Weimar Republic, and I'm not going into that. But I was wondering, like, oh wow, like inflation, everything going on, like when's the powder keg gonna explode? It's not, because people aren't starving. People are not starving, and that has been the catalyst of every revolution in the past, is the starvation. And as long as people aren't starving, and we have all this bio industry development going on that creates food for us, no one's going to starve. And as long as no one's going to starve, no one is going to pick up a pitchfork. I guess rewarding is getting what you want in abundance. So saying fit when the group is body positive yields better results despite the naysaying. Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's crabs in a bucket. I mean, we've seen it. The body positivity movement disappeared completely after Ozempic was discovered. Just overnight, boom. You didn't hear anybody about body positivity anymore because now they don't have to put in effort. Why didn't that shit fly with men? Because men were like, no, that takes work. That takes effort. You have to put in the work to get these results. But women wanted the results without the work, And that's why those things don't work together well. Now, how do we fix this? Look, you want my honest answer? This is should, by the way. This is all should. It's never going to work. It's never going to fly. But in a perfect world, we just have segregated schools again. We'd have segregated schools. But like, this is a boys' school. This is a girls' school. And that's how you fix education. But it's not going to happen. We're going to get men taught by men, girls taught by girls. Never going to fly. So what's a feasible option? I would say homeschooling. Now, is everybody equipped for homeschooling? No. If you think you're not equipped for homeschooling, look up private teachers. Don't do public school. Just don't, kind of thing. But that is only if that is available to you. It's not available to everybody. But there are options. You don't have to swallow what is put in front of you. But you will have to do the research. There are alternatives. Now, I don't know all the alternatives, but they are alternatives. Oh, that's what you mean by segregated. Oh, don't get me started, thoughts. Don't get me started. I want to keep this channel. We got taught the chickens for the generous too. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. Where's my applause?
Stop gooning.
There we go. Taught the tickets for the generous too. 30% of world's fertility has been knocked out soon. Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's what you get when you go after the farmers, Europe. There was this thing happening in the Netherlands where farmers got paid out again. And there was one family who did not want it to be paid out. They didn't want to be paid out. Yeah, fertilizer. Yep. I understood 30% of world's fertilizer has been knocked out soon. Well, to come back to the Dutch farmers, I don't know if you guys know this, but in the Netherlands right now, they are buying out the farmers. But now it's getting to the point where they are buying out, quote unquote, the farmers by law. And there was one farmer who didn't want to sell his company, who didn't want to sell his farm, and the law dictated, yeah, but you have to. Judge ruled in favor of the court. Where it's like, we don't care what you want. We're just going to let you sell it. Where it's like, are you kidding me? sorry, I heard something. And that's where I'm like, well, that's why I'm glad I left the Netherlands. That's why I'm glad I left the Netherlands, kind of thing. Sorry, I think I'm hearing my neighbors. A little bit annoying, but it happens. What's going on here? Am I still? No, I am not doing that. Let me check here. What is happening? Blah, 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 blah. If you guys have any other questions regarding this topic, let me know in the chat. We'll keep it going for 5 more minutes. Round it up at a nice 1:45. So if you guys have questions, put them in now. And we will get to it. Oh, wow. What is happening? Man, Rolo's account really is under attack. Jesus. Holy shit. Impersonation. This is bad. Wow. Crypto scammers, man. Hey, Unrealized Thoughts with the generous 2. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. Good to see you, buddy. Where is it?
And there goes the monetization.
There you go. And here comes the monetization. Unrealized Thoughts. I appreciate that. Thank you. Are you going to do any pickup demos when you're in Vegas in June? Sir, I am not a pickup artist. I will not be doing pickup demos. Now, will I be talking to people if I ever get to Vegas? Yes. But I won't be in Vegas in June. I won't be in Vegas in June, man. Unless... if I hit 300 paid subs on Substack by June, I might change my mind. But so far, it's looking that I will be there next year. But no, I'm not going to do pickup demos. I'm not a pickup artist. Look, you know what my game is? My game is very simple. I walk up to a girl. I say something that I think is like relevant to the situation. And from there, I go. And it's like she's either into it or she is not. And that's it. Oh, but what about openers? I just look at the situation and I look at IOIs. I'm actually very lazy when it comes to pickup. Like, oh, is she giving me the look? Okay, good. Is she not giving me the look? Then I'm not doing it, kind of thing. So pickup, no. You're barking up the wrong tree, man. I am no Troy Francis. I am no Troy Francis. But maybe it would be funny. If somebody was like, hey, Jack, should we Sarge? I'd be like, yeah, sure. But like to have a camera in my face and then do it, I'm like, get that thing out of here. I remember Hawk and I met in the Netherlands and he's like, hey, you want to take a photo? And I was like, no, thanks. And not because I don't want a photo with him for the memory, but it's more like, I mean, this is us, man. I don't need to be online all the time. I do my streams, I tweet, I Substack, I embarrass myself, and that's it. But the real, I don't get how Clav does it. That I do in that sense. I will commend Clavicular and Sneeko and Larry Wheels and everybody else, where it's like, how do you guys do it? Where you 24/7 stream? Good Lord in heaven, I would not be able to do that. I'll see you there. You and I can talk about book ideas, philosophy, etc. I mean, we could. You know, that would be nice. Get on the Substack and we'll start doing it there. I got the Q&A coming up. I'd love to see you there. Love to see you in there. Did I get everything? Certificate requirements for job, schools, degrees, optional. I think I missed a comment there. It's making a comeback as a whimper, but that's just women who Ozempic didn't work for. Oh, yeah. They're never going to get body positivity back. I'm fully convinced Clav is depressed. Oh, so am I. mind you, the guy is on a cocktail of drugs, you know? And he had a seizure on stream. I mean, look, guys, I'm not hating here. I'm not gonna say like, oh, it's content, it's just stupid content. I'm more like, why would you want the whole world to see that? It looked horrible. I pitied him, right? I'm like, dude, are you okay? I mean, luckily he had people around him who helped him, but I was like, oh Lord, kid, what are you doing to yourself? And I mean, and then like and the next day you see him with like surrounded by 5 hotties and the internet losing their minds. Where it's like, these women are only there for the camera. Or it's like, well, he's making out with them. So who's really the loser, you know? Who really is the loser in that sense? Because I don't think it's Clav. I could stream 24 hours back in my 20s and early 30s. Now I like peace at 8 p.m. Ah, man, it's 9 p.m. here. It's 9 p.m. here where it's like, oh, I'm getting old. Man needs to go to church, a high church, at least a place where it's inappropriate to stream. Probably. He probably does. I don't think he ever will. But what are you going to do about it? I don't think you can really ever do anything about that. Ba ba ba. Ba ba ba. There we go. Hyper-competitive marketplace life. Yes, that's also true. But I mean, even if you're hyper-competitive, that doesn't mean anything. There is another element. There is another element to all of this. And I haven't been able to describe it. But what I see with successful streamers and people who go out there and get what they want, there is a certain je ne sais quoi, you know, of unrivaled determination, of unrivaled endurance. Watson always described me as like, the only way is all the way. And that's kind of how I do see it, where it's like, no, the only way is all the way. We're going for it. I don't care how long it takes. I care that it takes. Clav is barely in his 20s. Love how people threw Clav and Red Pill to make it look worse than today. You know, Red Pill today is Nazi tomorrow, or the Nazi of yesterday is the Red Pill of today. Red Pill these days just means people I don't like, and it's gonna drive a lot more people to the Red Pill. Chad was the stroke for the $4.99. Thank you very much, sir. Good to see you, Chad.
Show me your tits or I'll kill myself. Amazing.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Chad Whistler Stroke, for the generous $4.99. Clav won't win in the long run. No, he won't. Those cocktails will take years of his life. Hanky Panky is fun, but there's other joys too. Oh, yeah. Getting on I don't know if it's true, but like getting on TRT on your 14. But look at his arms now. Now that he's streaming so much and doing all those things, his body is going to shit. His body is going to absolute shit. And that's not he's gonna end up a martyr. And that's a shame because the kid's young and there's so much he can experience, but these people want the fame, man. Everything for clout. Everything for clout. Live fast, die young. And you know what the horrible part is? You used to get at something cool from living fast and dying young, like albums like Shout at the Devil, Dr. Feelgood, Theater of Pain. What's my favorite Rolling Stones album called again? The one with the pie on it. Let It Bleed is on there. What's that album called? It's a great album. The one with the pie. It's a white album with pie on it. Cake. Clav is trying to be Ziz 2.0. He lacks the positivity. Ziz was like positivity embodied. Red pill today is not the same as 2021. How quickly it changed, but in 2021, I would see the stuff from 2010s. Now it's the popular crap. That's not even red pill. I love how Ryan puts it, like the praxeological man. And I was hoping that I could like put a light on that today, where it's like, hey, the only allowed masculinity is feminine approved masculinity. Why is that? Or how is that? And what do you do with it? Well, what are most men doing out? They're copping out. They're copping out of the white collar job market, copping out of the housing market. Like, would you really want to own a home right now with a mortgage like that? Do you? I read today that 1 in 3 men is living at home. 1 in 3 men is living at home. But is that really a bad thing? Now, yes, I know from a societal standpoint, like you need to spread your wings and blah, blah, blah. Are these men in debt? How is their bond with their family? Do they have a job? How are they getting by? Are they like participating in the home? Things like that. It's like, I have genuine questions about that. Like, you can live with your parents, but like, do you support your parents or do your parents still support you? And I think that's where the nuance lies. Like, do your parents still support you? And if that's the case, then get off your ass. You know, there's plenty of jobs to be had. Yeah, the jobs will suck, but come on, man. If you're living at home, you can save up so much money. Read Bachelor Economics and work on it, you know? I worked through my sister, so I'm under the radar. I mean, why not? At home or with his parents? With his parents, I saw. Let me check because I got a couple of bookmarks here. Guys, I don't know about this camera. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? It focuses, it out of focuses, blah, 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 blah. Very annoying. Where are my bookmarks? I saw something. Do I want to bring this up? Angry young women? It's not really relevant, but oh yeah. Wait a minute. We can go into this real quick because like, this is stupid. So of course I'm going to share it. There you go. This should work. Oh, that's why. Okay. This one. Here. This is from the New Statesman. On the internet, women and men have never been more alienated from each other. While the toxic, often heartbreak politics of the manosphere have been exhaustively documented, the new generation of female influence are nearly as extreme, just at the other side of the political spectrum, the femosphere. Honey, until I see 20,000 field reports from women wanting to improve so their husband will sleep with them, there is no femisphere. Spans a range of tones. There are misandrous dating coaches who urge women to reject men altogether, and more explicitly progressive content creators who cover global and domestic politics. Exclusive polling by Merlin Strategy for the New Statement reveals that young women aged 18 to 30 are by far the most progressive demographic in the UK. It's so hilarious how they keep saying like men are extremists, men are radicalized. You know, they get radicalized more by the day. Meanwhile, you look at the statistics, more and more men go to church. More and more men want to start a family. More and more men are out of debt. And then you look at women. Oh, yeah, they're turning liberals. They're turning communists. They're crippling debt. They're on drugs. It's like, who's really radicalizing? You don't hate journalists enough. You really don't. Exclusive polling by Merlin Strategy for the New Statement reveals young women aged 18 to 30 are by far the most progressive demographic in the UK. Young women are 20% points less likely to feel positively about capitalism than young men. and much less likely to feel the economy works in their favor. I wonder why. Gen Z women are more likely to support causes such as feminism, environmentalism, and anti-racism than young men. They feel much more negatively towards young men than young men feel about them. I wonder why. I spent the last few months in search of the new left-wing young women. It wasn't difficult. They were everywhere. Yeah, no shit. But it felt impossibly bleak. They weren't excited about their futures. They didn't like the men they knew or the idea of those they didn't. Men were just a threat who had the potential to harm or trap them. They will almost certainly make relationships harder. Fewer than half of young women feel men understand them. Young women are much less likely than men to date people who disagree with their politics. Maybe you shouldn't put politics above everything else. People will get lonelier and angrier. Young women are twice as likely to not want children as young men, but men are radicalized. Uh-huh. And it's getting worse. Women under 25 are most likely to believe things are stacked against me, no matter how hard I try. Why do you think men are ahead of the curve? A significantly majority of young women feel isolated from the rest of the country. The two main political parties aren't reaching out to them. Sure. Specifically, many women told me they feared a reform government. Oh yeah, this is in Britain. Reform pressuring them to have babies. Many say they will vote for the Greens in the upcoming local election, but few seem to believe that will make a difference. They don't feel represented by mainstream politics, and they don't think anyone cares. You know who's leading the Greens in England? The fucking Sharia. I wonder how that's going to go for female rights. But you know what? It'll be fine. You know? It'll be fine. It will be okay. Yeah, angry young women. It's like, but honey, what makes you angry, you know? What really makes you angry? Did I tell you guys about the Georgian woman I met when I hit the streets with the Italian? He's like, yeah, I have this friend, blah, blah. All she talked about was sex. I'm like, when was the last time you had a man? And she just turned red. What do you mean? I'm like, all you've been talking about is sex for the last 30 minutes. You need a man. And her female friend was like, oh, you do. We need to find you a guy. And I just saw the face of that girl who like said I was right. She was just so relieved. Where it's like, finally, somebody's saying it. And it's like, yep, sometimes you got to call them out on it. Speaking of saying it, Chad Twister Stroke for the generous $1.99. Thank you very much, Chad. I appreciate that. Where is it?
Stop gooning.
Oh, Chad Twister Stoke for the generous $1.99. King of the Hill reboot had a red pill bashing episode. That's the thing. Don't watch anything made in 2026. I saw that Maul was up. So the new Star Wars animated series of Maul. I watched the first 2 episodes because Darth Maul is a cool character. And there is another Jedi alive who has a female student. It's like, I thought the Jedi were wiped out. This is now the how manyth that also survived Order 66? Like, the Jedi were only supposed to be Yoda and Obi-Wan, right? Yoda and Obi-Wan. Yeah. And maybe Ahsoka. And that was it. But no, we now have, I don't know how many at this point. Where it's like, it kind of beats the purpose of the prequels at this point, you know? Where it's like, they really hate the prequels, but the sequels are way worse. And if you want to know, I had a conversation with Rob of what I thought would actually be a good sequel. But that's me. You're hitting your 5-minute mark. I know, we're actually hitting the 2-hour mark, which I'm fine with. You know, I'm okay with it. You wanted Rule 0. It's a shame nobody showed up. Who knows? Maybe they hate me. Maybe they hate me. Who knows? I know Fort Worth couldn't make it. Rolo's still busy with his Twitter account. And unfortunately, Cappy was also doing other things, but I hope I was able to entertain you guys. I hope I was able to inform you guys. I hope I was able to give you guys some actionable, applicable advice. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below your thoughts of this show. I want to thank Chad Twistler Stroke, Unrealized Thoughts, Tot the Chickens, Karn, Inquisitor Tibby, Lee Silver, Delta, Chad, and Wesley for all these generous donations this morning, this evening for me. I appreciate each and every one of them. Thank you guys so much. If you want to support my channel specifically, you can do so for less than one super chat per month on my Substack, where I have more than 100 essays, new essays every week, 3 free audiobooks with a 4th one on the way, private community, and monthly Q&As. I also have my own book. There it is, the beautiful, beautiful paperback of On Women, available now on Amazon, on paperback and Kindle, 200 pages of condensed red pill lessons, successes and failures. And yes, the audiobook will be coming, and it will be released for subscribers on Substack, because Audible will not let a Dutch man publish his book. So when it's done, it will be published in Substack first for all the paying supporters there, and then later on, I'll figure something out. So again, thank you very much for hanging out with me. You can find the bulk of my work right here at jacknapier.substack.com. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below your thoughts of the show, and hopefully we will see you next week during Roll Zero. Thank you again, and cheers.